want to do an intergeneration. I want 2 volunteers. Auntie, come, please. Please give her some round of applause. Show her some love. So this is generation which one? Okay, so now I want generation Z. Mr. DJ, get ready. Nana and Sawa Bonti, yes, I can be free. Nana no muso. Excuse. Whoa. Okay, all these seats are empty. Dialogue. Anyone. And this morning we're told opportunities, okay? There's no lion in front. Yes, won't you come? It's the better. The better. Which one do you want? She wants a that song. Mr. DJ, do you please, I'm not supposed to be singing, you know. Please don't let the imams come after me. Don't do yeah. Free entertainment, say. Mm. The vibe now. Yeah, I feel the vibe. Okay, Monto Ayeka. Ladies and gentlemen, please give my voice. Madam Nelly, from where? You're a vibe, a whole vibe. Jumping straight to the next sessions, which are the reporting sessions from the break and private sector development, healthcare company of the Honorable Chairman Sabonsu. We are ready. If you're here, is he? If not, be generous with your. Another round of applause to give us their presentation. Otherwise, Sandra will cause problem for you on air in the evening.
All right. 3 presidents look at the health, and they were endorsed that or reject with the goal, or you disagree. Out of the 63 persons, we've had but upon more deliberation, they decided. So we are going to just walk you through the goal said that there should be basic. The question was, is this some health insurance that treats whether or not a decision has been made that there should be a Ghana National Identification Authority or the National Identification. So that's on the issue ratio to reduce the maternal mortality. In this particular situation, we also had a unanimous made some progress because the 2017 figure reduced to somewhere around 310.
if data is collected maybe within the year, we're unanimous on that.
Care and the reduction of neonatal mortality adopted by the team. 2017, which was should be reduced by 2. That even though our goal, so for instance, the issue of do it in the next 2 years or even less, but then some of the things are attainable before.
Mortality from non-communicable communicable diseases and mental. The biggest issues being from just the infrastructure, the people and the the community and environment is favorable to ensure a successful test being functional for interaction, because we are where there's a protocol for big hospitals, but also every that can do that, which also meant again that all of that need to be looked at in order to the 2030 period. But there is a lot of work.
Morbidity and mortality, and COVID took as in to be half of that. Now the room was unanimous with diseases, so that is goals which we have decided to either make in a lot of our health centers, where picture this scene, your hospital and the frontline person dealing with other people. There's a member's life worth more than, so the room thought that how someone was injured. The idea is let's have as much as possible hospitals, so that even though someone brings their relative to the hospital, so it is up to you to speak to them in a reasonable tone. So a military man arrives, 3 minutes, this restless, I'm told to wait. I've been waiting, I'm ABCD. This person has this. If I don't do it in the best way possible, to experts to enter these. So a family member supposed to stop from medical practitioners, even more tedious than our health centers, to separate in peace. So these are the views that we.
I wanted a shortcut. You can use the.
And so I'll go straight to the point. Farmers to adapt to climate change. And then overall our concerns, and I'll go through some of the issues. The roles that CSOs are playing, when it's playing an important role, but sometimes they are overlooked. So it's also the discussion around opening up more financing avenues for climate. And so there's a need to look at other sources that we can also be more interested in mitigation. And it becomes important considering the already, or more generally, plant a tree. That also led us to discuss something on planted the years before were being managed and if they were properly being taken care of. And that's something that we should have a clear, focus. There was I got the impression that some people think that most farmers also did not. We should use more pictures or drama in farmers. And but overall line, there was a discussion that farming regions that farmers are switching to cashew and staple crops of different kinds. It's still important. Educating farmers or local people on climate change, maybe on radio, you hear a lot of stories, or I believe there was also a discussion about, we wanted to know if cheap loans would preparing the land, but instead of just loans, there was an agreement that we should probably think of it in a form of inputs that then allows them to use it rather than diverting it into other sources. Change the development. There's a general development. NGOs have a role to play, but there was also the based research. So it means that an organization, and then there was also the discussion on which also affects farming, productivity, storage to be available where it is. Or second target or the second goal was developing agenda things, and even before that, members and it deals with the issues much better. So we didn't just focus on women, because there was another part where we talked about most agreed. There was also the concern that was had when it comes to climate change adaptation. So that's something that also needs to climate financing thought about as a key strategy, everyday issues in the communities or in the framework for financing climate change that the ministry is already has already. Interesting discussion about where all this money that we are within the country. So we need to ensure that there's a clear framework for environmental or climate justice that will maybe adequately train or build a capacity of people to tap them. Can the NDCs be used, as a one be a form of financing mechanism that we can draw on? I think that can be used as well to get a discussion on carbon credits and had been taxed for some of their carbon were out, we able to capture them. Thank you.
Round of applause. Governance and Corruption Committee, yes.
Right. Thank you. Number of goals and targets in governance processes. The goal is to create making processes. The target is that specific oversight committees by the a coordinated and syndicated make sure that when we say we are doing, if we don't have the code and a habit that we create, we get some commitment. Those who attended of government information, sorts on government activities, budget allocations. 6, ensure that at least 9 data accessible within the first day. Commitment or responsibility obligation on all and to ready so that you know when you are even generated by that entity for us for information to be done so that the constitutional review group established checks and balances among the fourth, a competent public sector. You really cannot talk about it's efficient, it's 128, implement a digital platforms for public service delivery training programs. Some of that is a process so that we can bring regulate campaign and political 30-year democratic experience, at least under the Fourth Republic. And this has driven that is poor and a lack of. The target is that by end of 2026, there are an asset declaration, which includes provisions on unexplained wealth change for non-compliance. The Conduct of Public Officers Bill, when passed into law, and apply the necessary sanctions as stated in the PFM out prosecuting people when we don't want to prosecute stage where people are saying are being. The goal is to strengthen internal controls and promote more fiscal the enforcement of audit recommendations from internal auditors, external auditors, audit committees, and of the public accountant general every year come and say impacts in addressing this problem, because before they get more, we want to create public awareness, the RTI Act, and those 20 years, but we've seen more investment in it now that it is here.
So after which we would hear from the Honorable Oseichi presentation with a round.
And it came about because there was a lot of ancient committee. So we decided to amendments should look like and how the amendment should. The first one we looked at was articles. The general consensus was that there was an element not be nominated from Parliament. The person should resign from his seat, and a mixture of MPs and. The second article we looked at read that indeed the number of ministers that what's the cap? What is a reasonable given out or made? But within cabinet ministers, 6 consultative committee to look and decide, and right now is quite high, so there needs to be a review on that. Emoluments and salaries. So there was a general, so as citizens are paying tax, he should also go ahead and tax on his salary and allowances. The next stands now, we have 275 members of parliament, and the consultative committee recommended a cap of 277. Some recommended 281, and others recommended that we of parliament. The next issue we tackled was the NDPC needed to be revised to allow for more technical people and less politically exposed as members of the commission. We also agreed together, and also that the foundation for 20 years, but there was a general and that successive governments should be bound continued. The next point we discussed was the amendment of the Constitution generally. We looked at the entrenched provisions or one referendum per amendment, but the agreement was that referendums are quite individual, so the citizens can vote, and the emoluments and salaries to be defined in a more structured way. We agreed that there needed to be a board individuals such as the Public Services Commission and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, gradual component of the Article 71 holders, the role of the traditional rulers stands now, their role in terms of we draw them in at the district level during the end, our group's submission with a very important issue that needs to be tackled, and in the act, which puts a cap on the would mandate people to actually obey the law, find a way to sanitize our elections.
Right. Lexicons to the Ghanaian space. I promise you. Lady leader. And now I'm thinking of many more words.
Program. And the president at the funeral, and I'm only able to get back before I make my own very little submission. Really need to take it much world body of parliaments that are not composed. In Ghana, 2%. How are we going to get there? The post system. In countries that has proportional representation, if we don't, and by extension in government, we're talking we are deforesting our country, 5 million hectares forest cover in this country. We have harvested over 450 million. Regreening our environment is very good and he must be commended. When we were able to maintain the 10 million, 450 million trees grow and survive. I'm not sure we can monitor that. And if we agree that certainly we may not have more than one, and so we need to take ourselves much more seriously. By the CRC and the consultative committee. And I think a few things, and I think that we may have to look at that. The National Development Planning Commission is the Constitution provides in Article 35 the development plans and projects of existing administrations. Now, how do we do that if there is no role of the NDPC comes in strongly? Unfortunately, the overall development architecture of these objectives, economic objectives, we have cultural objectives, we have even international, give relevance to Article 35. It is spoken about. Let me not be quoted wrong to get it right. 8, practicable. The government shall continue a road project, maybe 100 surface to apply asphaltic over. If you leave it, that's at huge cost. Of 1.3, 1. If you leave it for 1 year, you have to go position the national development state policy. All of us to the right of the center. NDC, MPP, a Liberal Democratic Party. It is that introduced Social Democratic Party will be the person, will be the party to the free senior high, school feeding. Now, and we need to take that seriously. Article, has this. The commission shall consist of a chair that the sitting president may appoint. The government system. There are 16 regions now. So we have 16 knowledge, experience of relevant areas and roles. Now, today, as we speak, politically tainted or politically esteemed to unseat the MPP when they come a long-term national development plan for us. The NDC did brilliant job, included spatial planning, long-term national development plan. Yes, but did we need to start from the scratch again? Composition of the NDPC. Let relevant chancellors of universities, University Teachers Association do this for us as a country. And one parties construct their manifesto at the levels of the districts, because again, the Constitution provides in 2D, the state shall in particular take all necessary steps to establish a sound and healthy economy whose underlying principles shall every part of each region of Ghana, and in particular improving the conditions of life. Yes. This we are seeing what you are seeing. So, and then the ND to top approach of development, get to the regions of development at the level of the board nation from the grass proposal from the committee. This at the level of to have Westminster system or the presidential system. The latter held sway. I must say that this has saved the current Minister of Finance here with us, the Honorable Cedi. You agree with me? One main issue, the ministers, and yet when a budget was submitted, the ruling party, where a big division in the party that government. With that in mind, but I must admit that it has really has usefulness, and if we want to add value, look, they are vetted for specific positions. This is industry. Your own competence in industry. The project for 8 years, nobody will have any qualms. If we don't perform in the Westminster system, 16 years, they've learned all the rules. When his party takes over, almost here we have Parliament is vetting the person. It's the president to evolve policy. I don't know, let me go there, I'll learn. Learn what? And the bureaucrats use him as they deem fit. And the nation's away with this hybrid. Article 71, confusion there is that there are some listed there, like the ministers, MPs, the president, and that's where the problem is. Maybe we may have to do a separation. 71, you will see the list, the long list, which includes National Council of Higher Education, the Public Service Commission. They are all professional. Article 68, that is on the conditions of office of the president. I think it's been spoken about that. He should also be paying tax because there's no provision there the president's wings. So we have Article 88 of the Constitution providing of state. How do we only the principal legal advisor to the president? He's liken his situation to shall be analogous the president as a minister. And that is the president is also the principal legal advisor to parliament. Cabinet to advise the president. We could make his position. Why, after we declare our assets, do we general to assess the declaration to see whether we are compliant on that? So we declare assets, a money man, the Minister for Finance. I control the declaration means that I'm aspiring to own 20, knew what I was doing. So we know that Ghana, we're on the path to want to respond to those questions.
I wish we were on Eyewitness. So we'll do Eyewitness News after the session. And I'll now invite Edwin.
Thank you in discussing the accountability mechanism and what it is. Let's welcome Jacob from the Ghana Integrity Initiative. We're getting there. We're almost there right now. Since yesterday, in fact, for the past 2 years, we've been discussing. After all that we've talked about, all the great ideas accountable or hold everything we talk about years on what we're about to do.
I mean, fiscal responsibility committee, how do we ensure that important? Transparency, we believe accountability will lead us to the next step. Very key reasons why we need to delve into that is to lead us to a very responsive government. So officials about what we think about an issue. And basically, we wanted to know what is happening. Flagship Secretariat and the questions ability to whatever we discuss here would ensure that our public, for one, have observed to some of what we would term as gift to some level, a reduction of these things. But right now, because of the question and the fact that people could be helped, if there are other questions, I would come in.
Some ideas of, Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Affairs made very important statement. He said, panel, I know that you and I, Edwin, will be in trouble with our constitution. So as Edwin said, I represent the countries who are members of the OGP. The OGP were starting with a group of 8. We're part of local plan quite closely and quite deep is a voluntary initiative. Pull out whenever they want. But then again, if establishing a very strong the convention that we are here to discuss, that it's very essential and needs to enable all the partners to know exactly accountability mechanism is that it articulates the process. It is your accountability mechanism that will tell you whether or not you are on place. for any accountability mechanism following. There are 6 critical components that need to be part of the process of designing as the convention that we're discussing today. So all of you, because remember we say this is a voluntary accountability mechanism. Because remember, no one is obligated. We all need to sign off on the third lesson was that the targets are also responsible for ensuring that the process, but monitoring that it must be data driven. So there needs to be targets that you've had and success. Related to that point on, so questions such as what happens if one of it can retake? In the OGP, we see where partners are involved in the criteria and standards committee, the commitments that they've made when they're critical. I just wanted to add.
The mics are on. Collectively owned, right? The accountability mechanism must be oversight body that ensures that what we agree, my big brother Mukalani, that we've also tried to follow some of these guidelines or guidance that have been of what we are thinking is the framework for the so that the name accountability mechanism come to life. So the first for the NDPC and the reentry, they are supposed to let revamp position of the NDPC and all of that. So this is the same thing. See the formulation and implementation of the target 2 is to enforce clause. Do you think that makes sense? Okay, please. Then the third article within authority across successive governments and constitutional review to make sure. The second goal is to develop and implement a transparent that. We thought it was important to design a case, such as what we've talked about throughout indicators we've all agreed on. Then we can track the panel. And this panel, Council of Elders and key members of Ghana Bay contract. If you establish that here to generate annual report we've created. That's the idea in terms of the and then the 25 and updated quarterly by the compact government action. Basically, the NDPC is going to that it is usable by anybody, not just this process. We want to we propose to and engage citizens on their role in monitoring and loop to report create a network of journalists. That's the on citizens engagement. Then the four we've agreed on maybe with the next one in 2029 to review. So for all of these things to happen, engage our citizens engaging with the things that we have agreed, will say go ahead. And if you see that is on the stage as well to say as the NDP respond. And that's the end of my own assumption. I think the first is any questions first. Okay, please straight to the please raise your hand so that she can get it.
Thank you. Of accounts to presenting their audited accounts. We've heard of it, but since
that one has gone out of our jurisdiction. Our jurisdiction. Oh, say sorry. That you'll have asked that question.
Within their auditor's account, we will know where.
The sister up there, please.
Please, on the accountability of the panel, and how are they going to track it?
I have 2 questions. My name is Esther Appa. With the conditions for them to be very effective was become effective immediately. How did from the beginning of the presentation, showing that young people and women.
I want to ask the political governance or hold them responsible to that.
Yeah, we'll try.
Their job representing to drive the social contract. But of late, there's a lot of polarization. We ensure that the village to know the social contract.
I know we're tired. Okay, since we have a manual,
thank you so much. I want to act. It's going to be managed. Thank you.
Thank you. They can respond to if there's any excess.
Attempt some of them.
Oh, generally, let me start from the principle it may not be worth living. And so we have said we will do monitor, create avenues for discussion for everybody to follow. And of course, that is for all provides some emphasis for some specific visible for all of us to see whether it from the people is important. I think it's clearly in because the result that we communicate around it so that favorite for the first one that I want to post does not really take place. with the provisions that the National Development Plan, and as we also do this compact, our aspirations are, and I think education, health, and all this on this, then everywhere you doing about it, that becomes part. Use the law or use there is something already in place to help have set their they're doing. So they themselves will constitution review processes recommended. Yeah, I think the media, television or radio, and you find maybe I didn't get this right. Once the facts are interested in such discussions, so to more technical discussions which are more informative. I'm very much in love with the word expert. You know, you don't leave sure our good friends from the media who have moderated. There was a question asked about the panel, what it will at really that this whole arrangement that we African Center for Economic Transformation, I said they speak to facts. And they are also, let's look beyond the faces that are called upon will be able to be audit service within the talking about the personalities or the individual entities, private sector entities here, so that my other colleagues can also join.
My senior colleague has touched on almost would be different from NDPC sort of, but if you check Cedi, there's a merge, so it's not going to be something outside them. Promise not being fulfilled. Oh, a quick one before that, the constitutional review, which means that based on the review, we could change target, and even the aspiration if it depends on all of us. I mean, if all of us decide to have a responsive government, so based on it, they would have to go by it. I think that would be.
There are many things that have been said today that I thought involvement. So the accountability panel, I know there's a lot of interest, and in the strength of the accountability mechanism, politicians know that leanings, if they are aware during these last elections, the ANC 49%. You that if the citizens move sweet talk, if democracy does not deliver to march in the direction of the citizens, so said there will be a council of elders. And the citizens really, my asset again has a reputation, economic transformation that they can use very glaring. And I think on that trajectory.
Here, were you agreeing with what? And gentlemen, wow. Let's get up. I know people are tired. Just get up, back on. So when I mentioned the party, so for example, let's give. Wow. And we'll do the others before we end the social contract with a big wow.
Good afternoon, and thank you so wow. And over the past me appreciate the entire team of rapporteurs. Cannot take the credit. You see me standing here reading this, but there's been a team that's helped us to produce all matter, and we've been able to document these conversations in such. Before I read the declaration, just two thoughts by various partners that, as was shared by one of our partners at NC's multiple regions in Ghana, and we're able to receive pushback, time and engagement that you have shown. Now are preparing ourselves to really up to all of us in this room step up to make the Ghana Compact communities and talk about this work. We will need the courage to, as we also commit ourselves to fulfill our really represents a new effective and accountable governance. The Citizens Declaration for a Social as citizens of Ghana, recognizing the enduring social contract between the government and an inalienable right to secure for ourselves. In this spirit, we reaffirm our commitment to the principles of justice, equity, and mutual respect through transformative governance in Ghana. United by our common desire for a prosperous, equitable, and sustainable future, we declare our expectations for and engagement with key segments of Ghanaian society, including the private sector, civil society. We assert that our and shortcomings, culminating at the society gathered to distill the most pressing issue want. This declaration outlines our 2057, our commitment Together, we commit to strong natural we commit to strong that are crucial for building the future we want. We also the aspirations of the Ghanaian people, recognizing the need to declaration through an accountability mechanism that refer government to commit to this social Ghana that is prosperous, equitable, and equal opportunity. Number two, protection from violence. And thirdly, economic empowerment. Education, we call for quality and accessibility. Ensure access to quality teacher training and support. Invest in continuous professional development for teachers and include skills that are relevant to the modern economy, including digital literacy, provide universal access to quality healthcare services structure, invest in health infrastructure, particularly of trained health professionals, and improve their call for enabling business environments to finance. Secondly, mentorship and market access in these to enhance productivity and competitions. Number one, energy sources. Reduce greenhouse, develop infrastructure and systems that in education and awareness. On youth employment, we call for the fall, particularly in emerging vocational training and skill development programs, foster youth participation in decision making at all its finances responsibly. We therefore make the following overarching calls of the NDPC. Funding from Parliament, allowing it to frame it. We are calling on government authority across successive governments. The NDPC's role in budget integration aligned with resource allocation. We must enhance transparency. On debt management, we must implement, and on revenue mobilization, tax evasion. Acknowledge and implement the key reforms that will enable the. I thank you. May God.
Wow. With a difference years ago, where the someone made a post for the next person to be the one to implement what we this change. So to the vision together today, let's welcome with a continent, Hey Y Amwako. Well done.
It's working. 3 words. The passion shared together. And in my opening, the Policy Institute, the Speaker and the House of Chiefs, people and ideas together. It's taking parliamentary affairs, the brilliance, the ideas, informed conversations keep coming up. What goes around with the Constitution? What we've done, the analysis, that, and we have summarized it so beautifully. Has various steps. All those of us, the think tanks, we came to a citizens' convention we want. To phase 2, it's about you, the citizens. How do we drive this? And the whole discussion on the accountability next 2 is going to be one key form. And sometimes I get the feeling that we are not resonating. The messages are not going out there. Or the declaration, so that hopefully by this on social media and media happen, reaching out to the youth who has been working a lot on this. And I want him to come in and give you a sense of how we are going to drive this agenda to reach out to hundreds of thousands of people, particularly the youth, to hear their voice of this next stage.
Joy. Please let's clap for God asks the motivation through what speech, right? Our media pages, right? So take some pictures and then share. So like KY said, we are going to continue the conversation on social media. 7.4 million Ghanaians use social media. So we are going to be on Facebook, X, Instagram, we'll be on a LinkedIn account, then you join it. You'll be hearing some discussions on traditional media. We'll pick some of the topical issues and discuss them. And as much as possible, when you join the page, share the link. How many of you know what it means? Network there, share with your friends. In fact, take a screenshot of this QR code and get your friends to scan it so that they can also join the pages. So that's what is going to happen. And we are targeting 2 million people in Ghana by the end of the year to hear about the compact and the various the topical issues that have been discussed, so they can also contribute to it. The future belongs to the young people. Social media is where the young people live. And we are very grateful to have KY driving this particular conversation. So please join us, and that's what we're going to do. Join social media, comment, share the link, let your friends know about it, and also share your voice on it. Thank you very much, KY.
It's okay. Mine's okay. So, our citizens, do between now and the end of the year. We'll be doing further work to put it in place. That's what. And the additional work we need to do, have it firmly in place for the implementation. We need to do a deep dive on the governance and corruption studies will have to be done and special see heavy. There's so much issues of financing options that we need in preparation for working with the next. Now, the test forum, where we bring all down and say they want to work with us in part in terms of transfer. So how do we work with them? So we know many of these things are not running when they come into part. And for key policy makers, 19 for first term, he invited me to come over, and we did a series of summits. And on that basis, people like J.H. Larry, supporting them. We are united behind them. Key also of the has to happen next year. Clearly, it's in the national dialogue and what has so that we can some of the constitutional reforms. What do we do about it? And where the elections strong consensus on what needs to be done for discussion going forward. Priority to so those are some of the key new government and how we support them or the means where you as citizens fundraising, all these things cost money. Working with the development partners of these ideas, but Ghanaian institutions to do the orders, maybe we can that they can also pick up and draw the playbook. To thank all of you. Last 2 years, it's not been easy. Spirit. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Well done, gentlemen. Okay, we are going to start the opening prayer and start all over again. I'd like to also still say thank you just for coming, our moderators. And wave. They've worked so hard. They have worked so hard. Please like to quickly acknowledge all the partners as well from ASET, the convening of CDD, Afrobarometer, IFS, which is the loudest clap and the loudest wow. Louder dialects. In your say transforming ever. Change is your system. I want a strong change. It has to be stronger. The transformation we want is a strong one. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, on my own behalf, on behalf of ASET, We thank you all very much. You've been pretty wonderful, and may God be with all of you. I'm going to mention a few names, please. The media wants some interviews, so if I mention your name, you come to either of the pull-ups here and grant the media some interviews. So the honorables who are here with us, if you still have a few minutes to share, would like to interview you for your thoughts on the citizens. KY would give. I did. NCC, I did. I did. I mentioned all the partners. NCC, give them another one now. Be around. Kojo Asante is also around. He would speak on the constitutional and good governance plus corruption matters. Yawa Hansen Kwao is around on social contract. I'd like to invite all of us all to come up and take one group photo, please. Physical mass, and we are here, and this is our commitment. We will not cede our power, our voices, and our life to the fringe elements who want to crowd us out of the public square. Let us all claim our voice and ensure that we are speaking. Come and drive the order of photography. Right. So please, let's engage on social media. Let's sanitize the conversation so the fringe elements do not continue to crowd us out with the uncivil discourse. Thank you once again. Yes, I think some of us is strong enough. There's no fear of collapse. Let me try this. No fear of collapse. So please, some of you come backstage, especially the tallest. So all the So those to do the interviews, please just remain in front and the media will just conduct the interviews. Please enjoy the rest of your evening.